Warren Buffett's most famous quote is just two rules. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. People hear that and think it's obvious. It's not. Most financial advice, most of what you'll find on YouTube, is built for people with decades to recover from a loss. At 25, a financial mistake is a lesson. At 65, it can be permanent. You may not have decades left to wait it out. You have something more valuable now, what you've already built. And the entire game changes when protecting that becomes the priority. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to free you. Because once you stop chasing what everyone else is chasing, you can finally focus on what actually matters for you. Principle 1, know what you own. Here's something that might surprise you. One of the wealthiest investors in history has spent his entire career deliberately avoiding things he doesn't understand. Buffett calls this his circle of competence. If he can't explain an investment simply, in plain language, he doesn't touch it. Not because he isn't smart enough, because complexity is where mistakes hide. Now think about your own situation. If someone asked you right now, what exactly do you own and why do you own it? Could you answer in one sentence per account? Or would it take a phone call to an advisor and a folder full of paperwork you haven't opened in years? This is incredibly common after 50. Accounts pile up. Old 401(k)s from jobs you left a decade ago. Investments someone recommended at a dinner party. Insurance products you don't remember agreeing to. A retired teacher in her early 60s once discovered she had 4 different retirement accounts, 2 of which she had completely forgotten existed. One was losing value every year, to fees she didn't even know she was paying. Nobody stole it. Nobody did anything wrong. It just sat there, quietly shrinking, because nobody was watching it. Money you don't understand is money that nobody is protecting, including you. The fix isn't complicated, and it doesn't mean becoming a financial expert overnight. It means consolidation and clarity, knowing exactly what you have, where it lives, and what it's costing you to keep it there. While complexity quietly drains your savings, there's a second, even quieter threat. And Buffett has a name for that one too. Principle 2, the margin of safety. There's another principle Buffett has leaned on his entire career, one he actually learned from his own mentor, Benjamin Graham. It's called the margin of safety, and it sounds almost too simple. It means never building a plan that only works if everything goes right. Because things going right used to mean your investments perform as expected, your health stays steady, costs stay roughly the same. But you already know, at this stage of life, at least one of those things will surprise you. Maybe more than one. A margin of safety means keeping more set aside than the spreadsheet says you need. It means not assuming the best-case scenario is the only scenario. It's the financial version of carrying an umbrella on a sunny day, not because you expect rain, but because you've lived long enough to know weather changes. Know what you own. Build in a buffer. Simple on paper, and yet most people never actually do either one. Which brings us to the principle that's easiest to understand and hardest to actually live by. Principle 3, patience is not passive. There's a quiet kind of stress that comes with constantly checking, adjusting, reacting. Every market headline, every dip, every hot tip a friend mentions at dinner. Buffett's approach to this is almost boring, and that's the entire point. He's well known for saying the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. After 50, the temptation to do something when markets get scary is stronger than ever because the stakes feel higher. But constantly reacting, moving money around based on fear, chasing whatever performed well last year, is often exactly what turns a manageable situation into a real loss. Patience, in Buffett's world, isn't laziness. It's a decision made in advance, so you're not making decisions in a panic later. You know, if any of this is making you think about your own accounts sitting somewhere, half forgotten, that's worth acting on. We put together a simple, one-page worksheet that walks you through listing everything you own, in plain language, in about 15 minutes. It's linked below. might be worth pausing here to grab it. Either way, let's keep going. Principle 4. Debt is a different animal now. Buffett has been famously cautious about leverage, borrowed money, his entire career. Not because debt is evil, because debt removes your ability to wait out a bad period. When you're younger, debt is often a tool, a mortgage that builds equity, a loan that funds an opportunity. But the equation shifts as the decades pass. A loan you're still paying off into your 70s isn't the same loan it was when you took it out in your 40s. Your income sources change, your time horizon shrinks, and debt payments that once felt like just part of life can quietly become the single biggest drain on a fixed income. This isn't about shame, and it's not about rushing to pay everything off overnight. It's about looking honestly at what obligations exist and whether they still serve you or whether you're now serving them. Principle 5. The best investment isn't always money. Here's the principle that gets left out of almost every finance video, including, frankly, most of ours. Buffett has spoken many times about how the things that matter most aren't on a balance sheet. Health, relationships, how you spend your time. In his own words, money won't change how healthy you are or how many people truly love you. This isn't a throwaway money can't buy happiness line. It's a strategic point, because the questions worth asking now are different from the ones that mattered at 25. Not just, will this make me more money, but does this protect my time, my health, my relationships, and my independence? Sometimes the financially optimal choice and the choice that protects your quality of life are the same. Sometimes they're not. Knowing the difference and choosing deliberately is itself a form of wealth. Here's a question worth sitting with. Two people retire with different amounts saved. One has more money, but spends every week anxious about markets, debt, and complicated accounts they don't understand. The other has less, but everything is simple, understood, and protected. Which one is actually living the life Buffett describes as the goal? Principle 6. Simplicity is the strategy. It might surprise you that one of the most successful investment operations on the planet is run with deliberate simplicity. Not because simple means small, because simple means understandable. And what you understand, you can actually manage. For your own situation, this might look like consolidating those scattered accounts we talked about earlier into something with a clear purpose for each piece. Money for everyday life, a buffer for the unexpected, your margin of safety, and money that's allowed to sit patiently for the long term. 3 clear buckets beat 12 confusing ones every time. Simplicity isn't a downgrade. At this stage of life, it might be the single highest value financial move available because it turns, I have no idea what's going on with my money, into, I know exactly where everything is and why. The action blueprint. Let's bring all 6 principles together into something you can actually do this week. 1. List everything you own, every account, every policy in one place. If you can't explain what it's for in one sentence, flag it for review. 2. Build your margin of safety. Look at what you'd need if something unexpected happened. Health, home, family, and check whether that buffer actually exists right now. 3. Make one patience decision in advance. Decide now, while calm, how you'll respond if markets drop. Write it down. That decision is now made. You don't have to make it in a panic later. 4. Review your debt with fresh eyes. Not to panic, just to ask, does this still serve me, or am I serving it? 5. Ask the bigger question. For any major financial decision coming up, does this protect my time, health, relationships, and independence, not just my balance? 6. Simplify into 3 buckets. Everyday, buffer, long-term. Move scattered accounts toward this structure, one at a time. None of these 6 steps require you to become a stock market expert. None of them require taking on more risk. Every single one is about holding on to what's already yours. Buffett didn't become who he is by chasing every opportunity that came along. He became who he is by deciding, early, what he would say no to, and then protecting what he built, patiently, for decades. That's not just good advice after 50. For a lot of us, it's the only advice that actually matters. Because the dominoes are always falling. The only question is, are the ones around you set up to protect what you've already built, or to put it at risk? If this gave you a clearer way to think about what you've already built, hit subscribe if you haven't already. And if you'd like a place to start, we've put together a free Know What You Own worksheet. It's a simple, one-page tool to list every account, policy, and asset you have in one place. It's linked below. Takes about 15 minutes to fill out, and it's the same first step we talked about back in Principle 1. One last thing before you go. Which of these 6 principles do you think you're already doing well? And which one do you need to look at this week? Drop it in the comments. Your answer might just become our next video.